Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first webcast at rarenative.com. I would like also to thank cherryweber.com that has made this possible. Today's topics of our webcast is who can fight against the iconic device that you just slide, unlock. Yes, the iPhone. What company could possibly think that they have the possibility to fight against this device that I think you have it? I think that the success of the iPhone is due to a certain number of aspects that came from, let's say, a few years ago. Let's think about the iPod. 2001, Apple issued a wonderful device that we call the iPod. You all remember that it was kind of a wow effect when you first saw this device. And today, Apple has done one thing that is quite incredible. I think that you say MP3 player is one thing and iPod is another thing. And that's a great thing. Now, why the iPod could play a role on the iPhone success? I think it's because from that point, from that day, Steve Jobs, the master, started to learn or to teach us or to warn us about something. It's what he called the numeric hub. You all remember that? Numeric hub, iPod, iTunes, iPhoto, what else? The chance of people having all their data and be able to share their data and to have access to their data from anywhere. This was what Steve Jobs wanted to have with this vision of the numeric hub. After launching the iPod in 2001, Apple launched iTunes, the application that fit 100% the iPod. It was also a huge success. A few years later, Apple was claiming 1 billion downloads on iTunes. Isn't that incredible? And more than 100 million iPods sold. So what do you expect? And in the same year, 2007, Apple presented us the iPhone. Now the question is, would the iPhone have the same huge impact without iPod history, without iTunes history, without the numeric hub history? Would the iPhone have the same impact? I dare to think no. Of course, iPhone has other unique selling points. Of course, it has. But would it be the same thing? I repeat, I dare to think no. So before Apple presents the iPhone, they have done something that is really important for the success of the iPhone today. They have created, I repeat, the numeric hub. So people were able to reach their data and share their personal data with their friends, their family, and that's very important. They were able to do that by using their computer or others' computer, because you could share this information over the internet. With the iPhone, you can do exactly the same things anywhere. Isn't that wonderful? And that was something that is something that we really need to take care about. If a brand one day wants to make a device that could maybe fight against iPhone. So with all these assets behind, who could think that iPhone wouldn't work? I think that the iPhone was a successful device even before existing. And that's the most wonderful thing that the master, Steve Jobs, have made. There's another thing that then we stop talking about the iPhone, because this is not the topic of today's webcast. One important thing also on the iPhone is that it's a very simple product to use. You have 8 years old, 80 years old, you can use it. A lot of people said, wow, That's not possible. Why the iPhone doesn't have MMS? Why the phone doesn't have this? Why the iPhone doesn't have that? That's right. That's right. We can think that why the iPhone don't have all the functions that any other phone has. And that also is a strength of Apple iPhone. It's because it gives you the possibility to use simple, useful, less things that you use on a phone. And then later, iPhone has made updates to their software. This means that people first get used to a new device. Because you agree with me, Apple has changed the way you use mobile devices. So if they would bring you a device that changes completely the way you use your mobile device and would put, I don't know how many applications, wouldn't you find that difficult to use? Maybe you would say, this is not a phone for me. By putting a device that has less applications again, but useful applications, people were, wow, this is funny. It's funny to use. It's simple to use. I want one. Now, think about a company that could bring a device that could create such an impact. A company that has content, that has a community, and it has, let's say, it's full of features that you can, I think that you maybe use them. Which company would you think? Some of you may think about Google. I don't think it's Google. If I tell you F-phone instead of iPhone, F-phone, like Facebook. Yes? What do you think about that? A Facebook phone. Not a phone that has a Facebook application. Because we think that a device should be designed for the user interface and not the opposite. This is another strength of the iPhone. Sorry to talk again about the iPhone. Think about a device that would be designed for the Facebook interface that is actually being used by 80 million people around the world. All these are potential buyers for this kind of devices. A Facebook branded device with a user interface that is well thinked already and it is being used by everyone. So what do you think about having a device that will be designed for such an interface? That would be something very good. There's one thing that is very funny, is human behavior. They always strive for differentiation. They always like to feel better than the other friend. They always like to bring things to say, oh, I have this. And this is something that people, even if they liked iPhone, even if they like the applications of the iPhone, people will get used to the iPhone. Oh yes, they will. And that's one very good thing, because when people get used to something, they like to change. And again, that's another thing why a Facebook device would be a wonderful thing. Think about the iPhone. What? Before iPhone, normal phones with buttons. And then somehow, suddenly, iPhone brings you something that changed the way you use an iPhone. The way that, sorry, I'm getting kind of an iPhone maniac. It changes the way you use a mobile devices. And that's the good thing about the opportunity that a company like Facebook has today. We think that, but again, it's just a discussion. Now it's open. Please feel free to comment, to argue, and to tell what you think about this. Do you think it's crazy? Non-useful? We're waiting for your comments. And once more, thank you all for watching our first Rare Native webcast, and thank you, cherryweber.com, to make this thing possible. Goodbye.